Hello and welcome to The World Today on CGTN, coming to you live in Beijing. I'm Su Yuting. We begin in Beijing, where authorities from the National Development and Reform Commission are holding a press conference on promoting high-quality development to set the stage for building a modern socialist country in all respects. Let's listen in.
上午好，欢迎出席国务院新闻办新闻发布会。
Ladies and gentlemen, good
今天我们
morning.
举行
Welcome
权
to
威
this
部门
press
化开局
briefing.
系列主题新闻
Today,
发布会的第
we're
10
having
场。
the 10th
我们
press
邀请到
briefing of
国家发
embarking
展
on the
改革
new
委副主
journey
任
of
赵
government
晨新先
perspective.
生
We have Vice Chairman
李
Zhao
春林先
Chenxin, Vice Chairman
杨
Chunlin
英凯先生
and Vice Chairman Yang
请他
Yinkai
们
of the
为大家介
NDRC
绍着力推动高质
to
量发
share
展，
with you
为全
information
面
about
建设社会主义
promoting
现代化国家
high-quality
开好局
development to
起
set
好
the
路以为
stage for
好
building
并
a
回答
modern
大家
socialist
感兴趣的
country
问题。
in all respects
下
and
面我们
take your
首先请
questions.
赵晨新先生做介绍。
First, Vice Chairman Zhao, please.
各位记者朋友，
Friends from the
大家上午
media,
好。
good morning.
很高兴啊，和我两位同事一
It
起
gives me great pleasure
参加
to
今天
join
的新闻
two
发
of
布
my
会，
colleagues for
向
today's
大
press
家介绍
briefing,
情况，跟大家交流。
share information with you,
首先呢，
and communicate with
我
you.
想借这样一个机会啊，
Let me first take
我们
this
三位一
opportunity
起，仅代表
to,
国家发
as
展
well
改革
as
委
the two colleagues of
对各位
mine,
记者朋友，
express
以及呢
our
社
heartfelt
会各界
thanks
的朋友，
to all journalists and friends from all walks of life for your long-term
关心、
care,
支
support,
持、帮
and
助，表
assistance
示衷心的
to
感谢。
China's development and reform
过
work.
去的一年呢，也就是
In the past
2022
year, or the year of
面对
2022,
风高浪急的
in the face
国际环
of
境
the turbulent international
和艰
environment
巨繁重的
and
国内改革发展稳
daunting
定的任
tasks
务，
of domestic reform,
在以习近
development,
平同
and
志为核心
stability,
的党中央
under the
坚
strong
强的
leadership
领导
of the CPC Central Committee with
我国呢
Comrade Xi
有
Jinping
力
at its core,
有序的
China
也非常
effectively
有效的
is
战胜了
responded
多种不确定因素
to
的冲击，
and tackled the impact
经济社会
of
发展呢
various
取得
greater
了
than
新的
expected
成绩
elements.
各项
and we
年
have
度的
secured new
发展目
progress.
标的主要任务
The main
基本实现。
economic targets
昨
were
天呢
basically
由我们委牵头起
achieved.
草的
Yesterday,
关于
the
2022年
report on the
国民经济
implementation of the
和
National
社会发展
Economic and
计划
Social
执行
Development
情
Plan
况
for 22
和
and the
2023
draft
国民经
National
济
Economic
和
and
社会
Social
发展
Development
计划
Plan
草
for
案的报告
2023 drafted by the
已经呢
NDRC
提交
have been submitted
14届全国人大
to
一次会议审
the
查
first session of the
和
14th
全国政协委
MPC
员们审议。
and the
这个报告呢
CPPCC
全
National
面地
Committee
总结
for
了
Deliberation.
过
The
去一
report
年，
comprehensively
就是 2022
summarized
国民经济
the
和社会发展计划的执行情况。
implementation of the 2022 plan.
过去这一年的成绩单可以用几句话
Let
来
me
做一个简要
summarize
的概括。
the report card of last year
第一
in the
句呢
following
就是
sentences.
综合表
First,
现
the
十分
overall
亮眼。
performance is very
过
impressive.
去一年呢，我国
In
国内生产
2022,
总值
China's
跃上了
GDP
120
has
万亿
reached
元的
a
新
new
高，
level of 120 trillion
年
yuan,
度的增量就达到了6.1万亿，
with an increase of 6.1 trillion yuan,
就相当于一个中
which
等
is
国
equivalent
家
to
全年的
the
GDP 的总值。
annual GDP growth of a
那么
medium-sized
在全
country.
球通胀水平达到了
Against the
40多
backdrop
年来新高的
of
这样一个大的背
a
景下，
40-year high of
我
global
国呢
inflation,
物价非常平稳，
China's prices
全
have
年
been stable.
CPI 就是居民消费价格指数，
The
是上涨
year-round
2%，
CPI growth was
全年呢
2%
城镇新增就
only.
业达到了1206万人，
12.06 million new urban jobs were created, exceeding our
另外
target
呢
for
国际收
2022.
支基本平衡，
Balance of payments
到去年
remained
年底呢
basically
我国的外汇
balanced.
储备
On the whole,
稳定在
our
3.1
foreign
万亿
exchange
这
reserve
样一个水平上。
was maintained at a level of
我们一般呢衡量
3.1
一个经济体的情况
trillion US dollars.
看最核心的几个指标就是 GDP、CPI、
GDP,
物价
CPI,
就是 CPI 就是物价，还有
consumer
就业
prices,
还有国际收支。
employment, and international payments are the most important indicators. So, if we look at those indicators,
表现是非常突出的。
China has been very outstanding among major economies in the world.
这个遭到多重不确定因素
Under
冲击的
the
这样的情况
impact
下，
of multiple
我国经济
greater than
能取
expected
得这样的
factors,
成绩，确实呢
it has not
是非常
been
的来之不易
easy for China
值
to
得倍
achieve
加珍惜。
these results.
第二句话就是我们发展的质量
Second is
在
that
稳步
China's quality of development has steadily improved.
引领发展的作用。
The role of innovation in leading development continued
去
to
年呢，
increase.
全社会研发投入
Last year,
第一次呢
R&D
超过了
input
3万亿元，
exceeded 3 trillion
GDP
yuan for the first
达到
time,
了2.5%，
accounting for
我国呢
2.55%
在
of the
全球
total
创新指
GDP.
数排名当中又有新的提升，达到了第
China's
11位。
ranking in Global Innovation Index
与此
increased
同时
to
呢
the
我国
11th.
产业、区域、投资、消费
In the meantime,
等各个领域
the pace of structural adjustment has been increasing in terms of industries, regions, investment, consumption, trade, and other areas. Green, circular, and low-carbon development has been solidly promoted. The achievements in poverty alleviation has continued to firm up. The social security system has been further improved. Public services have been
这
improved
是发展质
as well.
第三句话，安全发展
Third
基础
is that the foundation for safe and secure development has been continuously consolidated.
金融的运行，
Fiscal and financial operations in China are
刚才
generally
讲了呢，国
robust,
际收支
and
状况是良好的
balance of
这
payments
都是呢安全发
is
展
in
的
good
重要
shape.
基础。
These are good
另外呢，从粮食生产
foundations
看
for
我国
secure
粮食生产已经
development.
保持了
On grain,
19
grain
年左右
production has been
连
stable
续8年
with
产量稳定在1.3万亿
increased
以上
production for 19
我国
years
能源呢，产供储
and has
销
been maintained
体系建
at
设在加快，能源供应的形势呢总体是平稳。
1.3
重要的产业
trillion
供应链
half-kilos
安全保障能力
for 80
也
years.
在不断的提升。
And China's ability to maintain secure industrial and supply chains has also been enhanced.
那么我想呢，我们看去年这样一个成绩，还可以呢
When we
把
look
它
at
放到
the
更
progress
长
last
一点
year,
的时间
we
段
can put that
来
in a
看，
longer
能够看
time
得
span
更全面、更
so
深
that
入。
we will have a more comprehensive,
我们先看过去的
in-depth,
5年，
and objective
过去5年
perspective.
呢极不寻常，
In the past 5 years, it has been an extremely
我国始
unusual
终
and
顺
extraordinary
应世
period.
情国情，
China has
社
always
情民意
responded to the
来
situation of
推
the
动
world,
经
the
济社会
country, the social conditions, and public
有力地
opinions
应
to
对了
promote
世
development
界
and
百年未有的
effectively
大变局，再加速
responded
演进
to the
近
once
3年
in
多
a
来呢
century
新冠疫
changes.
情延宕，还有呢国内经济下行，
China has
多重
also
的困难和挑战。
withstood the challenge of COVID-19 and downward pressure.
保持在
5-year
2.6%
average growth was maintained at 5.2%, which is significantly
大概2.3%左右
higher
这样一个增速
than the 2.3%
我国呢
global
作为世界
average
上
in
第
the
二
same
大经济
period.
体，制造业第一大国，
China is the world's second largest economy, largest manufacturer, and the largest trader in
巩
goods.
固和提升，
Such a status has been
各项
firmly
事业都
consolidated.
在持续健康的发展。
Progress has been maintained across all sectors. People have a stronger sense of gain, happiness, and security.
特别是过去3年多来，
In
在
particular, in
以
the
习近
past
平同志
3
为核心的
years,
党中央坚强领
under
导
the
下
strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Kwame Xi at its core,
重大
China
决
has
定性胜
made
利
a decisive
我们再
victory
看10
over
年
COVID-19. If we take a look at the past 10 years
我
in
国
the
经济社会
new
发展
era,
取得历史性的成就
China's economic and social development has made historic achievements and historic changes.
是我们转向
It has been a decade of transition to high
我国
quality
经济总
development.
量
China's
不断地跃上
economic
新的台阶。
aggregate has been
啊
taken
从
to new
2012
levels
年的50多万亿元
from
越过了
50
60
trillion
万亿
to
70
60,
80
70,
万亿
80,
90万亿
90,
100万亿
and
110
100
万亿
trillion
去年
yuan,
超过了120
and last year it exceeded 120 trillion
世界
yuan.
经济增长
In the past 10 years, China's contribution to global economic growth has been the biggest in the
非常
world.
重要的。
In
我
particular,
们呢历史性的
China
解决了绝对贫困
achieved the historic solution to the problem of absolute poverty and won the battle against extreme
减
poverty.
贫史上的
This is a miracle
我
in
们
humanity's
如期
battle
全面地
against
建成
poverty.
小康社会
We have completed the building of a moderately prosperous society in all respects as scheduled, and this has provided
更为坚实的
stronger
物质基础
institutional
和
support
更为主动的精神力。
and more solid material foundation for China's own modernization. Looking into 2023, the beginning year for our implementation of the guiding principles of the 20th CPC Congress, and a transitional and decisive year for the implementation of the 14th Five-Year Plan, as well as an important year for building a modern socialist country in all respects. It is highly crucial for us to maintain economic growth. We will always adhere to the guidance of the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, fully implement the guiding principles of the 20th CPC Congress and the Central Economic Work Conference, firmly promote Chinese modernization, adhere to the general principle of seeking progress while maintaining stability, fully, accurately, and comprehensively implement the new development concept, accelerate the construction of the new development paradigm, and focus on high-quality development. We will better coordinate domestic and international landscapes, better coordinate epidemic prevention and control and economic growth, better coordinate development and security, comprehensively deepen reform and open up, vigorously boost market confidence, and combine the implementation of the strategy of expanding domestic demand with deepening supply-side structural reform. We will focus on stabilizing growth, employment, and prices, and effectively prevent and resolve major risks in a bid to ensure the overall improvement of economic performance. We will also work for the improvement of both the quality and quantity of the economic growth, improve people's lives, maintain social stability, and provide a good beginning for the effort to build a modern socialist country. So this is the information I wish to share with you on the top, and my colleagues and I would be happy to take your questions. Thank you for the information. Now the floor is open for questions. With CCTV, this year China's economy continued to resume, and how do you see this trend of recovery? This year's growth target is 5%. How do you look at this target? What will the NDIC do to hit this target?
Thank you for your question. I understand that you raised 3 questions. Under the current circumstances, will the circumstance continue? And you also asked about the 5% target. And the third question is about what measures will be taken. I will address these questions one by one. First of all, over the past 3 years, China's journey in fighting against COVID-19 was extraordinary. It is proven that the party's Central Committee's major judgments on COVID-19 situation, major decisions on COVID-19 response, and major adjustments to our response strategies have been completely correct, with effective measures and enjoy public support. They have produced great results. Under the firm leadership of the Party Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, China has achieved major and decisive victory in its fight against COVID-19. As you mentioned, since the end of last year, as we have optimized COVID-19 response, and as the policies are implemented, we're seeing accelerated recovery of the flow of people and goods, and seeing recovery of economic cooperation. On consumption, since Spring Festival, China's consumer market enjoyed a good momentum, with recovery in tourism, catering, and retailing. This lays a solid foundation for Q1 and even consumption in the whole year. On investment, you also mentioned that recently you might have seen from the news that in many places and localities, major projects are being constructed, and policy-based development financial instruments and the mid to long-term loans to manufacturers and the upgrading of equipment in key areas and other policies have effectively promoted capital and production factors to stay connected to the projects they are allocated to, underpinning economic recovery. This shows that the Chinese economy has strong resilience and great potential. The sound momentum for sustained and healthy development has not changed, and the fundamentals supporting long-term growth remains unchanged. And this is my answer to your first question. As for the second one, on the about 5% growth target, I think we can understand this target from the following perspectives. First, China is still a developing country. Our priority is still development. To realize the targets set at the 20th CPC National Congress, we need to maintain a reasonable level of growth based on high quality and efficiency improvement. And at the same time, we need to expand employment, improve people's lives, prevent and diffuse risks. That also requires a certain level of growth. Second, the around 5% target is in line with the current momentum of economic growth, in line with the law of economic development. And this target can also help encourage stakeholders to focus more on development quality and efficiency, to build new development paradigm at a faster pace. Number three, I believe that you also notice that localities have strong confidence in development. Before the two sessions at the national level, we have had them at the provincial level. We saw that all provinces, autonomous regions, and municipalities have set their own goal of growth. We analyzed all the statistics. 27 provinces had targets higher than the national targets, with 23 of them having a goal of 5.5% or more. We believe that they will take concrete steps to achieve their goal, which lays a solid foundation for us to reach the national growth goal. As for your third question, the Central Economic Work Conference has made comprehensive plans on this year's economic work. We will work with relevant departments to implement the guidelines comprehensively and accurately. Generally speaking, we will prioritize stability while pursuing progress. We will implement the instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping of ensuring stability in growth, employment, and prices, and strengthen coordination in 6 key areas. And I would like to share with you the following 5 points. First, we will strengthen macro policy regulation. We will ensure the consistency and coordination of policies, strengthen effectiveness and flexibility of policies, and generate greater synergy of our policies. We need to assess the consistency of orientation of all policies with our macro policies. You might know that last year we have made great efforts to implement relevant requirements on the consistency assessment, producing good results. And this year, we will continue with this assessment. Secondly, we will continue to expand domestic demand and combine it with deepening supply-side structural reform. We will further release consumer spending potential and promote more solid progress from investment. We will further promote innovation-driven development and accelerate the building of a modern industrial system. We will adapt to, guide, and create new demand with higher quality products and services to achieve a positive interplay of supply and demand at a higher level. Third, we will build a high-standard socialist market economy system. We will advance high-level opening up and stimulate development momentum and vitality. Fourth, we will coordinate development and security. We will prudently tackle risks related to real estate, the financial sector, and local government debt. And we will strengthen our capacity in ensuring food security, energy and resource security, and the security of key industrial and supply chains. Fifth, we will fully implement pro-employment policies, provide better public services, and better protect people's well-being. Meanwhile, we will continue to closely follow and monitor economic performance and enrich our policy toolkits. We will keep in mind the worst-case scenario to prepare for complex and difficult situations, to ensure that we have the initiative in our work. All in all, by all these measures, we need to promote economic recovery, and that's what I would like to share. Thank you. We have seen inflation hikes in global market, but the prices remain stable in China. What measures will be taken? Happy to take your question. In 2022, against the backdrop of record high inflation in the global market, which led to a higher pressure of imported inflation, localities and departments have firmly implemented the decisions and plans of the Party Central Committee and the State Council focused on food and energy security and effectively ensured supply and price stability of key commodities. It is fair to say that we have done a good job in this respect. We kept the prices stable with a monthly growth of CPI kept under 3% and yearly growth kept at 2%, which stood in sharp contrast with high inflation in the world. This year, due to geopolitical risks and imported inflation, we still face some uncertainties and instabilities in prices. But we also need to see that we have been having good harvests for many years, actually for 19 years in a row. Stable food production is the cornerstone for us to ensure price stability. Our hog production capacity remains ample. Commodity supply is ample, and energy guarantee is effective. And we have built a better system to ensure supply and price stability. We have a solid foundation to ensure stable prices, and we're confident and capable of realizing the set target for this year's CPI. It is emphasized at the Central Economic Work Conference that we need to ensure stable employment and prices. We will implement the decisions and plans of the Party Central Committee and the State Council on ensuring price stability and focus on the following 4 areas. First, we will further strengthen monitoring and early warning system. We will follow closely the price changes of major commodities in domestic market and also livelihood products. We will do more research on supply and demand and prices trajectory and take targeted measures in time. Second, we will ensure supply and price stability of daily necessities. We will fully implement national food security strategy and put responsibility on city mayors to ensure the supply of non-staple food. We will stabilize production and supply and strengthen coordination of production and marketing and adjust our reserves to ensure stable market operation. Number 3, on energy and other major commodities, we will stabilize coal production, strengthen reserves, regulate prices, and ensure that coal prices stay in an appropriate range. We will strengthen exploration and development of oil and natural gas and mineral resources to increase our reserves and production capacity. Fourth, we will strengthen market oversight and expectation guidance. We will oversee the spot and futures market in a coordinated manner and crack down on stockpiling and whooping up prices and other illegal activities. And we will strengthen public communication to respond to people's concerns. Thank you. We noticed that some people said that China's economy grew by 3%, while the United States economy grew by 2.1%. But the aggregate value added of the United States economy was bigger than that of the Chinese economy. And we see that the gap widening. What is the reason behind that?
Let me take that question. Thank you for the very important question. And this question reminds us that there are indeed many people who may have doubts when they read about the economic performance of countries. And I wish to share with you my observations on that matter. First, I would like to emphasize that in 2022, in the face of various greater than expected impacts, China's growth has achieved remarkable progress. The overall performance is impressive, development quality is improved, and secure development, the basis for secure development is firmed up. If we look at the overall indicators, it would be easier for us to know that China truly stood out among major economies in the world. And if we look at the past 5 or even 10 years, then it would be possible for us to have a more comprehensive view. And the comprehensive performance demonstrated the quality and level of our development. Second, I wish to share with you that when we are reading and analyzing economic data, it is important for us to use all sorts of information to analyze the exact meaning of the data. You mentioned that China's economy grew by 3% in 2022, while U.S. growth was 2.1%. And many other countries have also issued their numbers. And there were 1.9% growth and 1% growth among major economies. Countries tend to use constant prices when they calculate economic growth. That means the number can relatively reflect the growth of the economy in an objective way. Speaking of the GDP comparison between China and the United States, when countries calculate GDP, they use the current price of their own currency, which creates the nominal number of GDP. That means in nominal GDP, the price factor has a major impact. We know last year U.S. has high inflation. Its CPI and PPI grew by 8% and 16.5% respectively. While in China, prices have been stable. China's CPI growth was 2% and PPI 4.1%. So that means a 6 percentage points gap between China and the United States on CPI and 4 percentage points on PPI between the two countries. And when the United States is calculating its nominal GDP, the high inflation is calculated, which means the nominal GDP is driven up. But do people really have a sense of gain living in high inflation? I believe the people know the best. When we compare Chinese and US GDPs, we also need to calculate the renminbi into US dollars, and that means exchange rate has some influence. Last year, to tame its high inflation, the US did not care about the spillover effects of its policies and raised interest rates 7 times, up by 425 basic points, driven the federal funds rate to a new record since 2007, and that led to the devaluation of currencies in the world, including the renminbi. And that means when we are converting the GDP numbers into another currency, it is further reduced. So this is for your reference when you are looking at the exact meaning of GDP numbers. My third point is that China's development is people-oriented, and the purpose is to benefit the people. We are making earnest efforts to do our own things well, and we aim to become a better China. We want to deliver a better life to the Chinese people, and we want to benefit global growth with China's own development. Let me also say this. China is a country with 1.4 billion people. China is the largest developing country in the world. As China concentrates its efforts on running its own affairs well, this is in itself a major contribution to human development. We pursue a win-win strategy of opening up, take an active part in economic globalization, and commit to the common development of all. We will continue to bring new contribution to global growth with China's own progress. We welcome all countries to take the express train of China's development with open arms. My fourth point is that the Chinese economy is currently operating for the better. We have seen that major international institutions have revised up their economic forecast for China's growth this year. Indeed, this year will be very important. It will be the beginning year for our effort to fully implement the guiding principles of the 20th CPC Congress, so economic work will be crucial. The whole countries are united as one to take practical and earnest, solid measures. We are confident in the prospect of achieving this year's growth targets and comprehensively promoting the great renewal of the Chinese nation through Chinese modernization. This is my answer. Thank you. With 联合早报, last year, consumption's contribution to the economic growth reduced, and the Chinese leadership is giving priority to the resumption and expansion of consumption. How do you assess the consumption situation? What are the restrictive factors, and what measures will be taken to promote consumption? Well, thank you for the question. Basically, you asked three questions. How to assess the consumption performance, what are the restrictive factors, and what measures will be taken to boost consumption. Well, final consumption is the enduring driving force for growth. On the whole, China's consumer market is showing a rapid recovery trend. Regional population flows are becoming more frequent. Interprovincial traveling has increased significantly. Catering, entertainment, and other sectors are rapidly picking up. Combined with the impact of traditional Chinese holidays, including the Spring Festival and Lantern Festival, China's consumption has been improving rapidly. There has been a significant increase of consumption volume and consumer number up by 30% and 23% respectively, which are at the level of 73% and 89% respectively of the pre-COVID era. So, judging from the numbers during the Spring Festival, the Chinese economy has been embracing a rapid recovery of consumption. That means the restrictive factors are being dispersed. And the growth rate of major indicators in the consumption field in the first half of the year is expected to pick up. Looking forward to the whole year, consumption can also become the main driving force of growth and better play its foundational role in growth. So this is about this year's consumption. The Central Economic Work Conference stressed that the recovery and expansion of consumption should be given top priority. We are now continuing to ensuring stability while pursuing progress and giving top priority to stability. Consumption has contributed more than 50% to growth over the past few years. That means consumption is playing a foundational role. In the next step, we'll continue to implement the guiding principles of the 20th CPC Congress and the Central Economic Work Conference and focus on the following 4 areas. First is to take multiple measures to promote the steady recovery of consumption. We will formulate and issue policies on the recovery and expansion of consumption and to introduce practical and effective policy measures around stabilizing bulk consumption, increasing service consumption, expanding rural consumption, and creating a safe consumption environment so as to release the potential consumption demand of residents. Second is to enhance the consumption capacity of residents, which comes from employment and income distribution. We will create a virtuous cycle of promotion mechanism for the entire chain of employment, increase the income of urban and rural residents, ensure the supply and price stability of basic consumer goods, and enable residents to consume with stable income and dare to consume without worries. So this is the second point. Third is to improve the consumption environment. We'll further improve the consumption promotion system and a mechanism, formulate policy documents on creating a safer consumption environment, improve the standard quality management system, improve the diversified resolution mechanism of consumption disputes, and continue to optimize the consumption environment so that the people have a stronger sense of gain and are more willing to spend money. The fourth is to cultivate new growth points of consumption. We will vigorously advocate green consumption and new types of consumption, support consumption in key areas such as housing improvement, new energy vehicles, elderly care, education, medical, cultural, and sports services, encourage the development of new forms of consumption, new models, and new scenarios, and further stimulate the vitality of the consumer market. Well, it can be said that in this coming new year, there will be many tools in our toolkit which will be leveraged to respond to the impact of the restrictive factors, and we have the capability and confidence to ensure that the measures are well implemented this year so that consumption will take up a bigger share in the 5% growth of this year.
Investment last year was a key driver of economic growth, but local government finances are seeing increasing stress because of the costs of COVID-0 and the housing slump. what's your estimate for infrastructure investment this year? And based on the information you have, are there enough quality projects to qualify to make use of the 3.8 trillion yuan quota for local special government bonds? Thank you.
请翻译一下。
彭博社记者提问：去年投资对经济增长发挥了重要作用，但今年由于地方财政压力不断加大，请问您如何预期今年的基建投资增速？请问今年的新增地方专项债额度的3.8万亿元，能否有足够多的优质项目来吸收这些资金，达到扩大有效投资的目的？谢谢。
这个问题请应凯主任回答。好，
谢谢这位记者的提问。
Thank you for your question.
去年呢，按照
Last year, according to the decisions and plans of the Party Central Committee and the State Council, the NDRC worked with relevant stakeholders to expand effective investment. Last year, national fixed asset investment increased by 5.1% year-on-year,
和制造业投资两端发力，
with increase in infrastructure and manufacturing investment, growing by 9.4% and 9.1% respectively, playing an important role for stabilizing general economic performance.
我们将全面贯
This
彻
year,
党的
we will
22
fully implement the guidelines of the 20th CPC National Congress and the Central Economic Work Conference to continue to expand effective investment and make solid progress in major projects. Through government spending and policy incentives, we will drive investment from all social sectors
稳定增长的良好势头，
and consolidate the sound momentum of investment in infrastructure and manufacturing, and
今年呢，
leverage the key role of investment in optimizing supply structure. We will focus on the following 4 aspects. First of all, we will
加
focus
快
on
推
weak
进
links
重点领域的建
and
设，
accelerate the
要有
construction
序实
of
施
key
学速规划
projects
的
in
102
key
项重大
areas.
工程，
We will orderly implement the 102 major projects in the 14th five-year plan. We will strengthen food security, energy security, and security of industrial and supply chains. We will build major infrastructure in transportation, water conservancy, and energy.
系统布局新
We
型
will
的
strengthen investment in manufacturing and high-tech
要加
industries
快推进
and
城市燃气
build
管
a
道
system
等老化
of
分
new
改
type
造
infrastructure.
城市
We
内
will
涝治
accelerate upgrading of
和
aging
社会
gas
事业的
pipelines in
民生
urban
建设
areas, address urban
第二项
waterlogging,
工作呢
and
是充分发
promote
挥
social
各项
programs.
投资政策的组合作用，
We will leverage
要
the
统筹推
synergy
进重大
of
项目建设，
investment policies
坚持呢项目
to
跟着规划走，
coordinately
资金要
advance
素跟
major
着项目走
projects
的这样一个要
to
求，
ensure that the plans follow our plans and
有效
capital and production
增长的
factors
重要项目
follow
协
the
调机制
projects.
的经验做法，
We
不断
will
完
fully
善扩
leverage
大
the
有效投资
mechanism
长效
to
工作机制。
coordinate
那在
investment
提醒
in major
14届全国
projects
人大一次会议
and
审查的
expand the
计划报告里
mechanism
提出，
for
今年拟
effective
安排
investment.
中央预算内投资
And
6800亿元。
This
下一步
year,
呢，我们将进一步优化投资
the
结构，
investment from
集
central
中力量
government
办
spending
好国家层
will
面的大事
be
儿、难事儿、
680
急事
billion
儿，
yuan.
积极组织
Going
做好
forward,
地方
we
政
will
府专项
focus
债
on
券项目
national
的准备工作，
priorities and prepare
督促
for
地方
special
加
purpose
快专
bonds
项
of
债
local
券发行
governments
使用和项目
and
开工建
urge
设。
local governments to
持续推
use
动
these
去年
funds
开
to
工的
support
政策
the
性开发性
construction
金融公
of
路项
relevant
目加快
projects.
建设。刚才陈新主任专门谈到了去年
And
新的这个
we will continue to promote
要努力形成更
the
多的服务工作量，
instruments for development rolled out last year to continue to support relevant
持续
projects
提高
for
项目
more
前
solid
期工作
progress.
质量。
Number 3,
要
we
指导地
will
方持续储备一批
expand our
激励
project
当前
reserves,
有利长远的
reservoir,
项目，
and to better
持续为扩大有效
prepare
投资打好
for
基础，
these projects.
推动地方深化项目前期
We
的
will
研究论
urge
证，
local governments to
切
do a
实
better
提高前
research
期工作的质量和效率，协调有关方面，
to
加强项目
prepare
用
for
地
these
环保
projects
这些要素的保障工作。
and to guarantee
第四项工
these
作呢
projects
是
in
进一步
terms of
激发
land
民间
provision
投资
and
活力，
environment
不断优
assessment.
化
Number
投资环境
4, we will stimulate private sector investment by improving investment environment.
用好
We
社会
will
资本，
encourage private capital to participate in major
鼓
projects
励更多的民间资本
and
参与
build
国
a
家
better
重大建设
mechanism
和补
for
短板的项目建设，
social capital investment and financing.
先进的经验，认真做好
We
支
will
持民间
expand
投资
best
发展相关
practices
政策文件的
and
环
implement the policies
引导
and
民间资本
documents
通过多种
supporting
方式
private
盘活存
investment.
量资产，
We will encourage the private sector to make good use of idle assets,
对于刚才这位记者提到的，
including issuing real estate investment trusts.
就是目前呢，地方政府
As for special purpose bonds of local governments, it has become an important source
按照党中央国
of
务院的
funds.
要求，下一步呢，我们委还是要切实
The NDRC
把投项筛项目的
will continue to guide and
指导地
select
方持续做好专项债
the
券的
projects
谋划储备和前期工作，按照分批申报、滚动推进
and
的
strengthen our
方式
guidance for local
加
governments
强项目审核把
to
关，
apply
督促
for
地方
relevant
按照要求
projects in
全部
batches
从
and
国委
handle them
筛选
case by
清楚的
case
准备项目清单中选择项目来安排。
so that the
这里边呢，
projects
我
on
首
our
先说明一
list
下
will be
就是纳入
supported
到
by
准备
relevant
项目清
funds.
单的这些项目，
All
都
those
是
projects
符合
included in
规
the
划
list
由政府引导
are in line with our plan, led by the government, will be conducted sooner or later and can produce a certain level of benefits.
同时呢，我们将在目前交通、能源、农田水利、
Besides transportation, energy, agriculture, water conservancy, social programs, municipal work, and industrial parks and new type infrastructure, we will also study actively other possible areas of investment for the special purpose bonds. Thank you.
第一排。那边女记者对。
新华社记者提问。“15规划纲要已经实施进入第3个年头，
It is already the third year for implementing the 14th five-year plan.
一直在开展这个中期评估的工作。
We're seeing the
能否介绍一下今年的
midterm
中期评估工作的进展情况？
evaluation going on. What is the latest progress?
感谢您的提问，同时呢，也感谢社会各界
Well, thank you for the question, and let me thank
对于评估工作的
all of those
关注。
who have been following closely the midterm assessment of the 14th five-year plan.
下的关键
And we all know that this year is the important year for the
人大常
transition
委会监督
of
好
our
和
work.
党中央、国务院的有关决策部署。目前呢，国家发改委正在会同有关部门
Now, the NDRC is working with all government
中期
departments
评估工作，
to conduct the
主要
midterm
的目的呢，就
assessment
是要
of
全
the
面地
plan
总结规划实施进展，
with a view
深入分析面临的
to
形势挑战。
comprehensively summarize the progress, deeply analyze the difficulties and challenges,
针对性政策举措。
and work
从规
on
划
the
的范围来
future
看呢，中期
targeted
评估工
policies.
作主要包括3个方面的内容。
From the
一呢
evaluation,
是国家规划
there are
纲要
three matters. First is the
二是
implementation of the
国家
national
级专项规划
plan. Second is the implementation
三
of
是地
national
方实此规划
programs.
的
And the
这个
third
实施情况。
is the implementation of
其中呢，
local
国
plans.
家14
Among
规划
them,
纲要的这
the
个中期
midterm
评估
evaluation
工作
of the implementation of the national 14th five-year plan is
其
conducted
他
by
的
the
有关部门按照
NDRC,
职责予以积极配合。
participated by other
国家级
competent
专项规划的
departments.
15中期评估工作
The midterm evaluation of the national
15规划的中期评估
plan
工作
programs
由
is conducted
各地方的
by
发展改革
competent
部门
departments,
牵头
and the local plans are conducted
从
by
这个
local
评估的重点
NDRCs.
来看呢，中期评估工作要聚焦宏观、中观、微
Our
观这3个层面，
Evaluation work
重点
focuses
对于指
on
标、目标、指
macro,
标
micro,
推动高质量发展和重
and
大战略任务
medium
重大
level
工程项目以及发展形势变化这些
projects.
方面情况，要进行全面的检视
And
和梳理。
we are conducting comprehensive inspection and review of major engineering projects and changes in the development situation. In terms of evaluation subject, form, process, and standards, we are raising our effort to innovate and combine self-assessment and third-party assessment, comprehensive assessment, and thematic assessment, goal-oriented and problem-oriented process assessment,
客观评估
and
和
objective assessment
也就是说
and
呢，下一步我们要努力做到
subjective
6个结合。
assessment,
此前
which
呢
means we
我们
will
已经
combine
正式印
the
发了
relevant efforts in 6 areas. Previously, we have circulated a notice with government departments,
同时呢，
asking the departments and the local development and reform commissions to conduct self-assessment, and we are also conducting thematic researches and third-party assessments. Currently, this work is being advanced in an orderly manner. Going forward, we will continue to carry out in-depth investigation and research, listen to opinions and suggestions from all sides, comprehensively, accurately, and objectively evaluate the progress of the implementation of the 14th Five-Year Plan, fully implement the major objectives and tasks of the 14th Five-Year Plan, so that it will be a good offstart for the Chinese modernization process. Thank you. Next question. With China Review of Hong Kong, in recent years, the international food market has experienced major fluctuations, and food security has become a major issue. How do you see China's food security situation now and in the future, and how will China guarantee the food security for the 1.4 billion people?
Thank you. This question is truly crucial. Just now, Vice Chairman Li also mentioned a little bit about food security, and since you asked about this question, I will go deeper into it. And indeed, food security is one of the top priorities for our country. General Secretary Xi Jinping stressed on multiple occasions that we must hold the rice bowl of the Chinese people in our own hands, with grain mainly produced in China. As you mentioned, in recent years, uncertain and unexpected factors compounded each other in the global context, leading to frequent and significant fluctuations in the global food market. Against that backdrop, according to the decisions and plans of the Party Central Committee and the State Council, the NDRC worked with relevant departments to implement relevant policies. So what we have done can be summarized as responding to uncertainties of external environment with certainty or stability in our supply and production. Over the years, China's food market enjoyed ample supply and steady operation. Although in 2022, we are impacted by a prolonged COVID pandemic and extreme weather conditions, with concerted efforts, China's food production had a good harvest again. The production reached 685 million metric tons, which is a record high. The expansion of planting of soybean and other oil-producing crops produced notable progress. Our grain purchases was steady and orderly, and we enhanced our ability of logistics and emergency response. Over the years, we have laid a solid foundation for ensuring stable supply and prices of food. We had good harvests, and we had better market regulation, safer and more reliable logistics system, a high level of reserves, and more importantly, our capacity to respond to major natural disasters and public emergencies. The food security situation is generally sound, and food supply can absolutely meet people's needs and the demand of relevant industrial development. You also mentioned that China has 1.4 billion people. ensuring food security is always one of the priorities in our governance. We should never slack on our efforts in this respect. We continue to follow the guidance Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era and implement the requirements to protect our farmland and develop agricultural technologies. We will continue to implement a national food security strategy based on our own production capacity with appropriate level of input and strong technological support. We will roll out measures on production, purchase, storage, processing and marketing of food, and coordinate our efforts and capacity building on all links to ensure food security. To be more specific, first, we need to spare no effort to ensure sound food production. The party committee and the government both need to take responsibility for ensuring food security and protecting farmland. And we have supporting policies for major producing areas, major marketing areas, and the areas that balance these two aspects to ensure that the area of seeding is maintained stable. We will launch a campaign to increase our production capacity by another 50 million metric tons and to improve our production capacity of soybean and other oil-producing plants. We will launch a seed industry reinvigoration campaign and strengthen our research on core technologies. And secondly, we will spare no efforts to ensure market supply. We will strengthen storage and regulation in terms of the aggregate amount. And we will build a better system for storage and logistics and make better arrangements for reserves marketing. We are improving emergency response system, building centers for ensuring food security in emergencies, and cultivate more enterprises for that purpose. We have the foundation, conditions, capability, and confidence to ensure food security at any time. We need to build a national food security guarantee system at a higher level with higher quality, efficiency that is more sustainable at a faster pace, to provide a stronger underpinning for the steady and sound development of our economy and our society. Thank you.
谢谢主持人，是 CNBC 记者的提问。我有2个问题，第一个关于今年在吸引外资方面有什么
What will be
新的
the
规划
policy support to
具
attract
体在哪
foreign
些
investment?
领域？好，第二，
What will be the
疫
specific
情期
steps?
间年轻人
And the second
高
question,
校毕业
during the
生失业率
pandemic,
偏
we see
高
that young people's
今年关注到
unemployment and
就
college
业
graduates'
趋势
unemployment was
计划
relatively
有
high.
什么样的
What
支
will
持
be the policy support in this respect?
好，谢谢您的提问啊。这个问题我想这样，能不能请这个
Thank you for the questions.
谈谈就业方面这个问题？
I will ask Vice Chairman Li to talk about employment and Vice Chairman Yang to talk about investment.
这个记者问的第一个问题是关于外资利用问题。
Well, first on FDI.
2022年呢，我国吸引外资
In 2022, major progress has been made in FDI in China.
制的
There are three new changes. First, the quality of foreign investment continued to improve. FDI increased by 46.1% in manufacturing and 28.3% in high-tech industries. Second, sources of foreign capital has become more diversified. Investment to China increased by 92.2%, 17.2%, and 8.2%, respectively, in the Central and Western in the EU, the Belt and Road countries, and ASEAN. And third is that investment is becoming more balanced. This year, the paid-in investment was $19.02 billion, up by 10% in January this year. While this has been achieved in a very complex global landscape, and this fully demonstrates the vote of confidence cast by global investors in China's development. This year, we will continue to implement the decisions and deployments of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council and expand the opening up of institutions, rules, regulations, management, and standards, and create a first-class business environment that is market-oriented and governed by law to provide stronger support to global investors. We will continue to advance high-quality development of FDI. We'll focus on the three areas. First is to implement the deployment of the 14th Five-Year Plan and promote the opening up of telecommunications, internet, education, culture, medical care, and other fields, and continue to overhaul restrictions outside the negative list of FDI and ensure the foreign-funded enterprises are equally applicable to various policies. Second is to implement various policies that have been issued and implement the in-depth implementation of the promotion of foreign investment with a focus on the manufacturing industry and guide more investment into advanced manufacturing, modern services, high-tech, environmental friendly sectors, and in the central and western and northeastern regions of China. Third is to provide better services for FDI. We will provide whole process services for foreign investment and conduct a series of activities to increase international investment and to build platforms for the attraction of foreign investment. Let me also stress that China has always been a doer in terms of implementing high-level open up, and we will continue to encourage foreign investment to cultivate the Chinese market with a more open and inclusive attitude. We also welcome investors from all countries to invest and start business in China and play a bigger role in building a new paradigm of development in China. This is my answer. Thank you. Well, let me take the other question on employment. Well, employment is the most important well-being factor. The CPC Central Committee and the State Council attach great importance to employment and has been implementing major policies to ensure stable employment performance. This year's target is to increase 12 million new urban jobs. And we have full confidence in achieving this target. Judging from the situation this year, external environment becomes more complex. The number of domestic college graduates and urban employment demand have reached new highs. The expansion and quality of employment faces new pressure and challenges, but we also need to see that as we continue to ensure stability in employment and prices and growth, enterprises and other market entities are recovering their operation, leading to the creation of new jobs, and the employment situation will be stable and positive. As I mentioned, our target last year was 11 million new urban jobs. And actually, we created 12 million, which was 1 million more than the target. And this year, our target is 12 million, which is 1 million more than last year. This fully shows our confidence and determination in ensuring employment stability. On your second question, which is the measures to be rolled out for employment, the Central Economic Work Conference clearly stated that promoting the employment of young people, especially college graduates, should be placed in a more prominent position. The NDRC will resolutely implement the decisions and arrangements of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council and increase employment first policy adjustment and coordinate the promotion of job expansion, job stabilization, service, and entrepreneurship to promote high-quality employment. And we will focus on the 4 areas. First is to focus on expanding the market-oriented employment of college graduates. We will actively expand effective investment, accelerate the recovery of life service consumption, and broaden the market by expanding domestic effective demand. This was already mentioned by Vice Chairman Yang on the expansion of effective investment. We will advance green and smart growth and combine the modern service industry with advanced manufacturing and modern agriculture so that young professionals will be able to get jobs. Second is to focus on accelerating the relief measures of enterprises and household businesses. We will adjust and optimize and implement the burden reduction and relief policies, continue to do a good job in cost reduction, strengthen the security of industrial chains, promote the integration and sharing of credit information, enhance the financial services for MSMEs, and promote the job creation capacity of firms. Third is to focus on strengthening employment services for young people. We will redouble efforts and improve the mechanisms to provide accurate and efficient employment services for college graduates and provide relief efforts for young people. We will deepen the integration of production and education in vocational education, promote the joint construction and sharing of vocational skills training resources, and enhance the skills and quality of young people, including college graduates, so that what the students learn can be combined with what the market needs. The fourth is to focus on releasing the vitality of young people. We will give full play to the leading role of the demonstration base for innovation and entrepreneurship and promote the opening and sharing of entrepreneurial resources. We will strengthen the construction of entrepreneurial parks to guide college students who have entrepreneurial intentions to return to their hometowns or to start businesses in industrial parks. We will develop the digital economy, support platform companies to play a bigger role in creating jobs, and encourage young people to rely on platforms to start their own businesses and to choose flexible employment. Thank you. The last question. With the paper, since last year, the global energy situation has become more challenging, creating a lot of pressure for China. How do you view the energy security situation now and in the future, and what measures will be taken to ensure stable supply of energy?
Happy to take your questions. Like food security, energy security is an important component of national security. It is a typical priority for our country. In recent years, in face of tension in global energy supply and price hikes, we made solid progress in building the system for production, supply, storage, and marketing of energy. And we have diversified our source of import and improved our reserves and market systems. And we have made notable progress in green and low-carbon transition. In recent years, China's rate of self-sufficiency in energy was kept above 80%. In 2022, China's crude oil production returned to over 200 million tons, and our natural gas production reached 220.1 billion cubic meters. For 6 consecutive years, the increased amount of production exceeded 10 billion cubic meters. And now the installed capacity for electricity generation has reached 2.56 billion kilowatts, among which 1.2 billion are renewable energies. And for the past 3 years, the newly installed capacity of wind power and photovoltaic power exceeded 100 million kilowatts. So generally speaking, China's energy security is well guaranteed. In 2023, the supply and demand situation in the global market is still complex, with many uncertainties. And China's economic recovery will drive a steady growth in energy demand. We will continue to see regional and periodic tensions in supply and demand. We must ensure that there's no power outages in extreme weather conditions, and we still have some pressure in that. We will continue to improve the system of production, supply, storage, and marketing of energy resources. And we will focus on the following 4 aspects. First of all, we will increase energy production and supply. We will continue to enhance electricity supply and build major large-scale wind power and photovoltaic bases, mainly located in the desert and arid areas. And we will coordinate our efforts to increase effective output of electricity in peak hours. And we will strengthen exploration, storage, and our production capacity. We will ensure stable coal production and strengthen its clean and efficient utilization. We will diversify our source of imports. Second, we will consolidate energy reserves. We will build a better system and strengthen our capacity of coal reserves. We will better prepare for emergencies and peak hours. Third, we will ensure price stability of energy. Last year, our CPI was 2%, and energy made an important contribution, including food prices. We will follow closely the changes in supply and demand and prices of the energy market. We will ensure price stability, including regulating coal prices to stabilize electricity prices and the energy prices as a whole. And fourth, we will ensure that we guarantee people's demand for energy. We will make sure that coal for electricity generation and heating and other livelihood purposes are fully covered by mid- and long-term contracts. And we will strengthen synergy between coal, natural gas, electricity, and refined oil. And we will monitor the supply and demand of electricity and manage the demand to ensure people's demands are met. Thank you.
That's the live signals we have for you here in Beijing, where Chinese authorities have briefed the media on promoting high-quality development for building a modern socialist country in all respects. And here are some takeaways. Officials say China's GDP grows 3% in 2022, and the CPI growth was 2%. 12 million new urban jobs were created in 2022, and 5-year average growth was maintained at 5.9%. 0.2%, and consumption volume was up by 30%, and FDI increased 46% in manufacturing sector and 28% in high-tech industries in 2022. And officials also say the government has ensured food and energy security, supply and price stability amid global inflation. And 2023 is a very important year for the implementation of the 20th CPC National Congress and also China's 14th five-year plan. Authorities say that China will prioritize stability while pursuing progress in 2023. And you're watching The World Today. We will be right back with more global updates. Stay with us.